Resurgent India Knowledge Series in association with Association of Financial Advisors of India presents live webinar on Exploring Productivity Through the Lens of Industry 5.0. Moderator Ms. Sonal Mahta, Senior Vice President, Resurgent India Limited. Eminent speakers: Mr. Suvaradipta Banerjee, CEO, Maven's World; Mr. Kunj Kalra, COO, Soulless Energy Private Limited; Ms. Anjali Mathur, Director, Capers Corporate Wellness; Mr. Soumya Sharma, Business Development Head, Jai Shri Electricals.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Sonal Mehta. Welcome, one and all, for a very interesting session on exploring productivity through the lens of Industry 5.0. We have all been hearing a lot about Industry 5.0 in last 3 years in news and in media. But what is it all about? Industry 5.0, often seen as the next frontier in industrial evolution, emphasizes the harmonious collaboration between advanced technologies and human ingenuity. While Industry 4.0 focused on automation, robotics, and data exchange, Industry 5.0 brings human back into equation, enhancing their role in decision making alongside AI, the Internet of Things, that IoT, and robotics. The shift is designed not just to optimize efficiency, but to create value that aligns with societal goals like sustainability, resilience, and inclusivity. So, without taking much of time, I would like to start this discussion by introducing my eminent speakers who will be further discussing more about Industry 5.0 and the impact of the same in their industry. So, I would like to first introduce my speakers. I would start with Mr. Kunj Kalra. Kunj is the CEO of Soluse Energy Private Limited, a result-driven professional with 14 years of experience in sourcing, supplier negotiations, R&D, and product presentation for leading brands like Topman, Red Tag, and Mark and Spencers. Skilled in understanding consumer behavior, identifying business opportunities, and driving strategies to achieve corporate budget goals. A firm believer in God. On a personal front, he is a passionate foodie who loves exploring flavors, savoring delicious meals, and creating culinary magic in his kitchen, the Kunj Ki Kitchen. Mr. Subratita Banerjee is, CEO of Maven's World. With over 25 years in management consulting, he specializes in solving complex business challenges and driving sustainable improvement across sectors like automotive, mining, pharmaceutical, chemicals, and energy. His expertise spans manufacturing, supply chain, procurement, IT, and more, delivering innovative solutions in performance improvement, operations transformation, and digital analytics. Passionate about tennis and exploring new destinations. Miss Anjali Mathur, Director, Capers Corporate Wellness, strategic HR leader with 17 plus years of experience driving organizational growth through talent management, culture transformation, and compliances. Skilled in M&A integration, succession planning, audit, risk management, and leadership development. Proven expertise in aligning HR strategies with business goals across consulting, research, and analytics industries. Certified independent director with focus on governance, risk mitigation, and board advisory. Seeking leadership or board roles to deliver impact HR solution and strengthen governance. Her passion today is exploring new destinations, lifestyle, culture, and scenic beauty, accompanied by cherished companions. My youngest and the last panelist here is Mr. Soumya Sharma. He's a business development head, Jayashree Electricals, a dedicated profession in electrical industry, currently with Jayashree Electricals, Bhiwadi, channel partners with L&T Electricals, RR Cable, Phoenix Contact, Bharat Bijli, and more. Focused on driving growth, enhancing market presence, delivering exceptional customer experience, and ensuring timely service. Committed to creating value for clients and building lasting partnership. Open to connecting with professionals for insight and collaborations in the electrical sector. So with this, I think, I would like to start this interesting discussions with my speakers on Industry 5.0. So my first question here would be to Mr. Banerjee. Sir, looking at the kind of experience that you're coming up with today, we wanted to more understand about what approaches can manufacturers take to embed sustainability into their processes without disrupting productivity or escalating cost. Generally, people feel that any new changes which we want to do would impact the costing and the budget. So what are the approaches which you think probably manufacturers can look at on sustainability without impacting their budgets or escalation in the cost?
Thank you, Sonal. So we have been practitioners of Industry 4.0 for the last 7-8 years. And as you rightly said in the beginning, the objective was, productivity and cost reduction at the core. And the role of humans in that was mainly of oversight of the automation systems. Automation system would do stuff and humans would just do the supervisory control. But with Industry 5.0, which has come in and the topic of discussion today, we are looking at how we are going to collaborate with the machines to take decisions and enhance creativity. Why? Because the previous model was not sustainable from many point of view, right? One being that humans were being replaced at a large scale by machines, and machines were not able to take the right decisions as well in all situations. So in this, what are the right questions? How can manufacturers, without affecting their strategies on cost reduction and productivity, which they achieved during Industry 4.0, how can they migrate to Industry 5.0 strategies and maintain that same thing and make it sustainable, have the same edge of cost reduction and productivity? So I have, from my experience, we have clubbed these strategies into three buckets. One is called the technical system, which is basically the design, how you bring in new technologies. For example, something like a digital twin. Okay, without making the actual changing the actual processes, how can you simulate the process and sort of do all the predictive analytics around it before coming up with the actual change in the manufacturing process? So try the digital twin approach. And if it is successful, you reduce less of material and resources, okay, and make it optimal in this case. And then, in the actual scenario, it will be more sustainable. Second, you use a lot of resource productive strategies. Like, Kunj is here, he'll elaborate more on how do you optimize resources. Here, you're talking about of scarce resources, right? Like all the minerals that we are going to use, all the power sources that we are going to use. How do you ensure that we are making it using IoT-based devices to make our decisions resource productive? The third thing in this design part is called the machine learning. Like, how can we sort of build on the machine learning experience that we have gained during Industry 4.0? Like how we are using generative AI in our day-to-day life. How can we, interact with the machines now to build scenarios and give a different, situations to the different tasks to handle for the machines, and it'll come up with the right answers, and it'll learn during the process. So it is not a static thing which we had in the previous Industry 4.0. Now we want more of collaboration and generative AI type of interaction between humans and machines. And the most important one, which already we had seen success in the automotive sector in terms of additive manufacturing. Like the earlier nozzle used to have 25 different parts, which used to be assembled. Now you can print it, 3D print it at one go. You're making it more sustainable from an environmental point of view, material usage point of view, rework point of view, energy consumption point of view. So these are some of the technical suggestions or approaches one can take up, the manufacturers can take up in current situation. But that is not going to be good enough from sustainability point of view. You need two more strategies, which I call the tripod. For one is the design technical system. Second is called the skills and capabilities of people. So skills and capabilities of people means like you need to train them on the latest, like cobots, for example, collaborative robot. How does it work? You train them, involve the workers in the design, use gamifications. We have actually seen a lot of companies do a simulation and workers play games on see how it actually works in real life.
Wow.
Okay, a simulated version of that. And then you have to tell them, how you educate the workers, how it will not replace their jobs. Okay, how is it actually going to enhance them and create more jobs? That's the most important part for manufacturing today. That otherwise, the workers will resist, and sustainability will be in question. And the third dimension of that tripod, Sonal, is that the management system. Management has to give this communication. They have to have an organization which supports this green culture, okay, or resource productive culture.
Very critical.
Yeah, and that's what we have seen. And shared values, of course, everybody should have a shared value on this. That's I would call the three tripods of approaches. One is the design, the other is management systems, other is the workers training and care. Yeah.
Great. No, I think so very wonderfully covered when we were talking about digital twin approach, resource productive strategies, and then, the tripod that you mentioned. Very interesting to understand, okay, design, skills, and management system has to go hand in hand. Because agar isme se ek bhi nahi ho paega, so it cannot be a successful one. And I truly believe, that anything which needs to be implemented for the management system and the management has to be convinced about taking it down, only then it can be successfully implemented. So I think very interesting one. Thank you so much. My next question will go to Kunj Kalra. What are the key challenges in integrating solar energy into India's existing power grid, and how can they be addressed? Main challenges and what are the solutions, or how can they be addressed?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kunj. So, as you all know, that the world is now changing, and we are now going towards the more renewable energy. Power plants are being installed in India and across the world. So, since every new product that has been launched or every new thing that has been introduced, there are some challenges which are involved. Likewise, there are some challenges which are involved in renewable energy as well. Since in Industry 5.0, our focus has been towards more sustainable growth. So there are some challenges that I would like to highlight that we are currently facing in Indian economy as well as in abroad. It is first that the solar power plant is not a consistent source of power which we are getting. So like the current energy source that we have, which is generating around 70% of India's energy, is a thermal power plant. Now, thermal power plant is a dispatchable power. You can, on demand, you can ask the thermal power plants to send the power, and we'll get that power onto the Indian grids. But whereas when we talk about solar, now solar is dependent on the weather conditions, it is dependent on the time of the day, and it is not a 24/7 power that is available in the market. So we have to understand the challenges that are involved in solar. And since due to these challenges, there are certain steps that we need to incorporate to ensure that the solar power plant, whenever we have excess solar generation, so we have battery energy storage capacities in place to store that excess power, because we don't have a consistent demand curve. Our demand would vary from the time of the day. And whereas in solar, the generation is from morning 6 o'clock till evening 6 o'clock. So the balance between the demand and supply is something that we have to look at. Plus, moreover, in solar, we also need to understand that our grid infrastructure that we have in India is very old and it needs a lot of upgrades. So the
Hmm.
current grid infrastructure is not capable of handling those fluctuations that are coming out of the new solar power plants. So there are some voltage fluctuations, there's some frequency fluctuations that are coming up with the solar power plants which have been installed. Then again, since India is one of the largest population country in the world, and in solar parks, we need a lot of land to install these solar installations. So that is one more challenge that we are facing, the availability of spare lands. Then there are certain more factors like the economic factor, because although the solar prices have gone down drastically in the past 1 decade, but if we look at battery energy storage, it is still a very costly thing, and the government is still a bit reluctant to make the capex investment into battery energy storage solutions. Although the work is currently in process to, get better efficiencies out of what PV modules are available in the market, then a lot of investments are being done to identify new avenues of battery energy storage solutions like green hydrogen, green ammonia, wherein when the solar is generating extra power which is not being consumed, so that extra power can be utilized in generating hydrogen. And from hydrogen, when during the non-solar generation hours, we can generate electricity out of it. So these are some challenges that we are currently facing in the solar sector when we talk about the integration into the main grids.
Great. I think, very balanced points which are covered here by Kunz right now, where we're talking about, yes, there is a gap between the demand and the supply. It's like, like other sources, when we're talking about thermal or other, this is not 24/7 available. So there's a gap between demand and supply. Infrastructure has to be upgraded 100% on those bases. Land becomes a major part of the chunk. One is the availability, two is the cost. So it's like, anybody who's trying to set up a solar project, if he has to go buy the land, his the cost of the project automatically goes way higher. So what are some of the support which we can look at from the government side also to support here, be it, the costing side which can be managed. And yes, like you're talking about some new initiatives like green hydrogen, which are coming in. And if supported well, I think, they can bring a lot of changes to the segment. Great. Thank you so much. My next question will go to Anjali Mathur. How can companies, Anjali is coming in from a hardcore HR background, so, I think she will be able to cover up this very well. How can companies identify emerging skill gaps early to stay competitive in a rapidly evolving technological landscape?
A very good evening to everybody. So when we talk of Industry 5.0, yes, it's a time where robots and smart machines are working together with people, and of course, yes, with resilience and sustainability goals again included. But when we talk about this entire thing from an HR perspective, if we look at it's a lot to do with a very human-centric approach. We have to reskill the people, upskill the people. There's a lot of workforce planning which is going to change, a lot of hiring strategies, buffering the hiring because technology is not something that comes very easy to people. A lot of engagement, hand-holding of people, and a lot of inclusions and diversity. These all things will come into picture very in a big way, because this collaboration is not going to be very smooth initially, but yes, a lot of effort from an HR perspective, I would say. The human again is into focus and how they are going to join hands with this automation and come up with results which are way beyond our imaginations. So from an HR standpoint, I think there's a lot to do now. Again, it's a complete change, overhauling of the system. So probably the first thing that I'm really thinking about is the workforce anxiety. When we talk about people going back and getting to know that this is how they're going to work now, it's never happened before. So just think about how the people are going to respond to this. A lot of anxieties, a lot of issues that HR is going to face, will witness, and probably they have to address these concerns. Second biggest point here from my HR perspective, I would say, with the performance matrix. Performance matrix till date was focused only on the people. You had this matrix and you're performing on these grounds. But now how would it look like? It would look like as a combination of some amount of human value plus what are the efficiencies that technology is bringing in. So together, the matrix would definitely change. It would be very different from the way it is before. A lot of skill assessments have to be done. We have to relook at the workforce, relook at their skills. A lot of collaborations coming in from the institutions and people who are researchers, because they would bring a lot of trainings, a lot of knowledge on table to groom people how they can go about it. A lot of internal feedback again has to be seen, because we have to continuously do a gap analysis to see where our workforce is and where we want to head, how they are being brought together. So again, this is another thing that has to be really seen into. And I would say that a lot of job rotation would happen, because a lot of cross trainings would be needed for people to move into different roles. They have to be trained in all the technology aspects. So I think the human workforce has a big challenge, but I would say at the same time, it's an opportunity, because what will come out of all this together would be a very strong human automated environment working beautifully in the coming time. Thank you.
Great. I think, very interesting to hear it from a HR professional, because generally, like you said, that Industry 5.0 has been in news for at least last 3 years now, and people have been talking about a lot of it, and and most of the time, people are a little skeptical about it, saying, कि नहीं AI आ जाएगा, IoT आ जाएगा, तो उसकी वजह से the human interface would stop, or people will start losing their jobs and stuff. But I think the facts and the figures is कि it's there to support you. So it's like it's not there to take your jobs. It's there to improve your efficiency, improve your productivity. It's there to support you in doing your jobs better. So, this message has to be very clearly communicated by the management and the HR if they want to make any tech to be successful. But otherwise, most of the time, what happens in the organizations also that, you want to introduce technology, you want people to get upgraded, but people are not interested. People generally, are a little skeptical about it. कि नहीं ये हो गया, तो फिर, what are we going to do? How it's like, it's going to impact our KRAs and stuff. So I think as an HR professional, it's very important to make people think first, okay, this is going to be done to improve your efficiency, to improve your productivity. It's not going to take your jobs anywhere. It just will help you to upgrade yourself. I think this message from HR, if it goes clearly to people, it will help them to think better in upgrading themselves. Because I can imagine, the younger guys are still very accommodating, they are eager to learn more and, upgrade themselves. But when you're talking about mid-management professionals or the senior professionals, whenever you talk about them to technology or to upgrade themselves, there is a generally, hitch on those bases, why do you have to do it? And how's it going to go impact? So, taking care of all these people and finding a solution in an organization is what is required. And management and HR has to work in sync to make these people understand that. Great. Thank you so much, Anjali. My next question goes to Soumya Sharma. What steps can organization take to build a strong safety-first culture in a high-risk industry? Soumya, you've been working with a lot of large companies, that talking about. Sorry. So, as per you, what are the steps that need to be taken to build a strong safety-first culture?
Hi, good evening, everyone. This side Soumya. So let's come straight forward to the topic. Building a strong safety-first culture in high-risk industries is very crucial nowadays, as we see in our day-to-day life about the incidents and mishappenings due to low or negligible safety. So, for ensuring the well-being of our employees and minimizing the accidents or injuries, I have my own point of view that can help an organization to increase its safety standards. So basically, according to me, the main key factor role is played by the leadership. The leadership should be committed and accountable. Leaders, according to me, the leaders should actively promote the safety culture by prioritizing it in every aspect of the business. Leaders should also hold the accountability. According to me, a strong safety culture begins from the top. Leaders must have accountable for creating and maintaining it. In every industries, what I think is there must be clear safety policies and procedures. The safety guidelines should be easily communicable and understandable for every employee, starting from the top to the bottom. There
Mhm.
must be foster open communication for everybody. See, like according to me, everyone in the organization should feel comfortable for reporting the hazards as well as the unsafe practices which are being carried out in the industries from recent times or from long onwards. Industries also should focus on the regular safety meetings. If an industry organizes regular safety meetings, the employees can provide their own suggestions about what they feel and how they can help to prevent the future incidents. According to me, there must be ongoing safety trainings and education about the issues which a high risk industry faces. See, basically, if someone joins recently in an industry, he or she don't know much about the protocols or practices which are to be followed and which are following in the recent times. So there must be a regular training and safety program organized by every senior or junior level industry. Safety, according to me, Sona, safety should be included in daily operations. For example, if there is a crane operator operating crane for lifting of heavy goods, he must use the safety switch gear. There must be circulated like when the goods will be carried on the heavy lifting crane, no one should be nearby the area. The companies should provide the proper safety gears and tools to the all the people working there. Like I have seen in the Saint Gobain, everyone has to wear the helmet and the jacket. Like it's and plus the safety shoes also, which are compulsory. Like we can say it's the personal protective equipment (PPE), and every industry should also follow a safety monitoring system. Like they must keep a record, like what are the incidents or what are the issues they are been facing, and what are the practices they are doing to tackle these issues. And the most important is the continuous improvement and feedback loop. The feedback channel should be open for all, and anytime it should be they can suggest and give their suggestions anytime. And every industry should promote a positive safety culture. They should organize seminars. They should organize celebrations for the safety achievements for the complete year. They should promote their staff for the same. They should reward their staff for the same, and also they should support mental and emotional health of the employees which are working in the high risk industries. Mental health can play a very crucial role. If someone is not mentally present at the site, it can be a very high risk.
Absolutely.
So, according
Very
to
that.
me, taking these steps, an organization can create a proactive safety culture where safety becomes a regular practice with these shared values. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Soumya. I think, again, the common thing which is being discussed between Mr. Banerjee, Anjali, and Soumya here is leadership and accountability. So, ultimately it has to flow from leadership, whatever initiatives you guys want to take, be it from the safety perspective, be it from tech perspective, be it from HR perspective, it has to follow from the leadership. The leaders have to be educated and aware about the changes that needs to be done. Second, communication and awareness, very well covered, where we can talk about that even if the safety guidelines are there, if people don't know about it, so how does it impact? As an organization, you might have safety, measures which you have been taking, but if there are trainings, there are no communication, there are no awareness which are there on that, it hardly matters you have it or don't have it. So, besides creating a safety environment, you have to ensure that people are in sync with what are the various awareness program or the safety training initiatives which are there. Third is the feedback channel, very, very important that people should be open to come and discuss about their feedback. because that will give them a confidence in case there is some issues, we can go and discuss about it. Very well covered. Thank you so much, Soumya. I will again go back to Banerjee sir. How can automation be tailored to support and enhance human roles in manufacturing? Automation, sir, you're on mute. Banerjee sir, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Sure.
So as I said earlier, that humans are playing a central role now in
Right.
in Industry 5.0, and they are key to sustainable operations, right? So what we are seeing nowadays being implemented, let me give some examples. So how automation is aiding humans rather than replacing humans or having a conflict with humans. Automation aiding humans, like nowadays the robots are working through gestures and voice command. Earlier, it used to be in a different, they were independently operating. Secondly, a lot of wearables people are using now, especially, again, it's linked to Soumya's safety topic, where, people like in Larsen Toubro and these companies, they are equipping their workers with sensors. So if they are, getting fatigued, okay, it'll be known to the worker as well as to the supervisors, and the job allocation is being done, their movements are being done accordingly. Then the safety harnesses, what they're like sensors in the helmets. If somebody is not wearing a helmet, people will come to know. Okay, so those are some of the things which automation is aiding the humans. Then coming up with different scenarios. Earlier, you used to you used to analyze a lot of data after collecting the data. Now you can do those analytics, predictive analytics, real time through voice commands. Okay, and that is aiding the frontline worker to take decisions. They don't have to depend on somebody giving them the go ahead on anything. They can take decisions on the shop floor from the control room to just by interacting with the automation system there. Then various VR and AR technologies, are common today, right? We have heard of this augmented reality. Like I was with a aerospace as defense company, and they were doing the maintenance out of the main engineer was in Paris. Okay. And the client was in India. Or the company was in India, and the integrated maintenance was done through augmented reality system, using wearables. People were, visualizing the entire drawing and et cetera, and coming up with the, steps of doing the maintenance and troubleshooting as well. So this is how automation, with the huge bandwidth that we're having nowadays, internet bandwidth, we are sort of solving real time. It is helping the people real time. So these are some of the collaborations, and then even in other functions where they don't need to interact with machines. A lot of this predictive analytics model, like the sensors are capturing everything about the equipment, vibration, the temperature, etc. And a maintenance guy doesn't have to go and check it in a hazardous place or go to the machine to check it. He will know when to replace a valve by just looking at the commands that is getting through the integrated systems. Okay, so all these things are aiding humans. Okay, and this is something is evolving at a pace which we are not able to fathom. Just like in our day-to-day lives, how ChatGPT has come in, and the shop floor people have started using all these things, and it has made their lives much better.
Great. So I think, like I was talking about, that technology has been coming in and people have to start upgrading themselves. And happy to know, even at the work floor level or the shop floor levels also have people started using analytic tools, or have started getting some help from the VR or the AR side. That's a very positive sign, which I'm sure, sir, would be possible with large corporates where they have the huge teams and all. But how about mid-sized companies or the small-sized companies that you have today? So, do you think all these things can be possible with these small-sized companies also, MSMEs kind of guys who we're talking about today?
Most definitely, it is most beneficial to smaller companies because lot of the more humans are using old techniques and not using the automation as an aid, you are likely to make a lot of mistakes. Okay, especially in the packing. For example, there is a small company, MSME company, where the main workers are 70% of the workers are in the packing process. Okay.
Right.
Now, a lot of, you'll find how fatigued they are, how, if you visit any of the smaller companies, you'll feel that repetitive work, and then, it is not, first time right is not happening. So they are reworking it, okay, sort of packing it. A lot of wastages are happening. Different types of sizes of packing material is not synced to the batch size. Okay, so all those things are, by trial and error they're doing, especially in MSMEs. Now, what a simple automated system will do is give them the right material at the right place, the right quantity to be packed.
Wow.
Okay, and there are scanners and machines which will ensure that no defect is going out. It is actually going to be much more productive for the humans who are going to be engaged in that packing line. So it is as much important. Every automation is not robotics. It is not that much expensive. I'll give you an example. In a small steel plant, they used to use load heavy coils on a sleeve
Okay.
on a rolling machine. So they replaced it by very low cost robotic arms.
Okay. Very
And
interesting.
those robotic arms are, sort of 1/10 of a cost of, a salary of a human being. It is easily affordable even for smaller companies.
Very interesting to know, sir, because generally my concern was all this AI and when we're talking about VR and analytics tools, generally for a mid sector or a large sector client, it may not impact their budgets much. But for a MSME client, if these guys can find some solution at economical rates when they can talk about, so I think that will really help them improve on their productivity also and find a cost-effective solution as well. So I am very excited in case, we are able to find some solution for the MSME guys because majority of the growth that we're talking about today are focused on the MSMEs only.
Another example, let me give you. Suppose there is a small
Sure.
company and it has to import some raw material. Okay, what happens
Right.
is they normally import at the lowest cost, right? Lowest price.
True.
Now there are predictive analytics model which factor in the moisture, the transportation losses, etc. And there are say 18 or 20 factors which are variables in the decision making. In a nanosecond or less than a second, it'll build scenarios for the procurement manager to take a decision. Okay, so
Okay.
we are saving lots of money in
Mhm.
crores by this small tool. And it is not an expensive tool, it's just a program, right? You can also simulate that on Excel as well. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, so those things can be used by smaller companies and they'll save a lot of money.
Great.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much, sir, for covering this up. My next question will go to Kunj Kalra. How effective has AI and IoT technologies been in driving progress towards net zero goals, particularly in the solar energy sector?
Well, artificial intelligence is actually something that we are using on a daily basis in our trade also. So when we do the stimulation design, so we run a software called PVSys, which has the data of all the geographical latitudes and longitudes for the past couple of years. So by that data, we get to know what the future forecast is for the coming project. Let's say we can give a 25-year forecast for any particular site in the world. And with that stimulation that we run, we get to know exactly what would be the generation that we can achieve out of a certain design. And maybe some design tweaks, we can optimize the efficiency that we can get from any solar power plant that we install. So then again, we have multiple other factors like we already have SCADA systems installed across the board on all the solar power plants. So all the solar
Wonderful.
inverters that are involved, all the ICE transformers that we install, all the distribution panels, they all start SCADA controls. Now, when we put that data that we are getting after every 5 or 10 seconds of data, that data can be anything related to the voltage, the frequency, the temperature, even the oil temperature inside the transformer. So when all these data are then assessed by the artificial intelligence, we can predict when a failure is about to happen. Like we can predict how the temperatures are rising inside the transformer. We can predict if there's any voltage fluctuations. If we find any voltage fluctuation, we can immediately stop that solar power plant. Now, these are something that we use on a daily basis. Now, as I covered in my previous topic, that solar generation is not consistent.
Hmm.
Now, this is something that we can also have. We do have all weather monitoring stations. So with all the weather monitoring station data that we are accumulating, the dispatch centers, which are actually scheduling power for India grid, they can predict how much solar generation can be expected from any given region or given state. And then they can schedule their power accordingly so that the grid is more stabilized. Then since we'll be opting for battery energy storage systems, likewise, when the battery energy storage, we can schedule the battery discharge accordingly as per the requirement of the grids. So all these are AI control and pretty interesting because when we do these, we prevent our systems from failure because we can predict when a mishap is going to happen and we stop it before it happens. Then there is multiple other factors as well. We can optimize our storage. We can store as and when we require. AI would tell us how much power needs to be dispatched, how much needs to be stored in real time. So these are a couple of interesting things that are happening in the solar space. And AI is now even a small household plant that is installed. So all these remote monitoring systems, they are calculating that what is the irradiation levels in that particular region. And they tell the client beforehand, you're expecting X amount of solar generation throughout the day. And by the end of the day, the client feels happy that, the stimulation generation is meeting the actual generations. So it's quite interesting what's happening in this space in the solar field.
Absolutely. I think, the future forecast that you were talking about would really help people to plan in advance on any of the emergencies or exigencies when you talk about. So if that is happening, so that actually gives a head up to the plant owners to plan accordingly. Optimizing storage and remote monitoring, I think, are very, very interesting things which can be very beneficial from the sector perspective point of view. But what are the new things which you can see in next 2, 3 years from the technology perspective, which you think can happen or you suggest should happen to improve the sector further?
Well, as far as technology, the biggest thing that is in discussion right now is green hydrogen. So
Right.
as you all know that, batteries are very expensive.
Hmm.
Currently, it doesn't make that good commercial decision to invest in batteries. It is only applicable wherein the grid infrastructure is not available. So
Hmm.
when you're offsetting a diesel generator cost, which lands around 23, 24 rupees a unit, then it can become a commercial viable project. But when you're offsetting a 8, 9 rupees unit cost, then the only thing that could be viable or close to viable would be hydrogen. So
Hmm.
once hydrogen comes in place, there are multiple areas where hydrogen can be used. The only thing is that we need to get the electrolysis cost down. We need to make it more viable so that every industry which is currently installing solar power plants can also install the next step, which is the green hydrogen. So they'll be generating their own power, they'll be storing their own power in hydrogen, they'll be consuming during the non-generating hours from the hydrogen that they have stored. So this is pretty interesting that's going to come up in the coming few years. And as wind is also now improving quite a bit, so a lot of wind power plants are also being expected into the country. The only downside with wind is that wind cannot be installed in every location,
Right.
whereas a power plant can be installed at every location.
Great. No, seriously, matlab, a lot of expectation from green hydrogen in case, that can be successfully implemented. So would be a great boon to the sector where a lot of challenges which the solar guys or the renewable people are facing right now can be covered across. Great. Thank you so much, Kunj. I will go back to Anjali. What strategies can organizations adopt to support flexible work models like hybrid or remote setups while ensuring team cohesion and talent retention?
So the idea behind having these flexible models is that basically we ease out the operations. We do not, overburden people. So a lot of things in terms of automation were already in there, and probably we can move further ahead in the same. Like we can have integration of remote operations, which can be based, for example, predictive maintenance is something that you can do over a cloud platform. You can do real-time analytics to enable engineers and supervisors to oversee factory performance even wherever they are. So this is one of them. Why not have hybrid work policies for non-operational roles? For example, a supply chain person, or maybe somebody who's looking at just your matrix can work remotely from anywhere in the world and give a coverage. Why we want to have it there and then in the office? This is another way of doing it. We can have a lot of AI tools, which basically when manage the workflow remotely, probably we can have report sheets generated. A beautiful example is why not follow the Sun workflow model? Basically, which is covering all the time zones so beautifully that the workday, the work keeps getting transfers as per the time zones, and it is seamless. So these things, although they are there in pieces, but you would see they come up more beautifully in the coming time. You would see a lot of things coming up in terms of synergies with human now. That is what is going to come. A lot of tools are there where probably you can optimize your scheduling, your resource planning, ARs and VRs. They can just look at the quality. They can have a lot of quality checks through these equipments. Why not do that? So these are a couple of things that can beautifully, bring in this flexibility in terms of work. When in person, we don't want him to be there itself, but probably just work wherever and whichever place you are in. And plus, definitely apart from the work, what we need to do is build a lot of virtual connection with the people, because end of the day, we are working with people. So a strong effort has to come from, again, the team, their HR team, wherein they have a lot of rigorous training, virtual sessions, which are interesting. A lot of town halls have to happen virtually, because then the feeling has to be the same, that no matter you're not in office, but the environment is the same. You have to create that. You might have to have a lot of gamified training, modules there to make it interesting. But these are very important, because that is how you make that difference just negligible, by bringing these things so seamlessly in the operations. And apart from them, flexibility in terms of job rotations, maybe, they can schedule the jobs, automate the, shifts of the people that automatically they're moving in different shift basis, some program. So all these things have to be beautifully embedded in the process in this industry 5.0. And that what would come out would be an amazing performance from the humans. We should not underestimate that humans cannot perform. Once you bring these things together, you would see that AI, the smart machines, and the human together, it's a win-win success for everybody, because these synergies will bring a beautiful result out from this.
Can you share some example, Anjali, of how probably, since you're coming from the HR background, and I'm sure you've done a lot of trainings with all these guys, some virtual training sessions which you have done and has been very successful. Very interesting would that be to hear.
Yeah, so this has already started way back. So when COVID happened, there were a lot of issues. People were operating from the home. So first of all, people realized we can operate apart from the office. That realization came in, and it came so beautifully that we could still imagine companies working, but probably schools operating seamlessly through online mechanism was beautiful. The kids were learning. Some people were joining the school at that go in that year, and they were beautifully inside a training room. And you would see that gradually those small humans, they fitted so beautifully in an online environment. They started taking classes, they were learning. So, we have to see that everybody gets synergized in this. It's just that how you're placing that. And then, yes, we did a lot of team building in that part. And it was very crucial, because when you're disconnected, it is very important for people to come together and realize that it's a phase and we'll go back. A lot of team building done, a lot of trainings done. In fact, in schools, I could see kids doing sleepover online.
Wow.
And they did it. Because
That's
what
interesting.
was important from every HR perspective to see from anybody who's looking at the human resource angle is to see that how are you addressing the stress level of the people, how you're looking at their mental wellness. So these initiatives were purely driven to address these things. And right now, with this automation, what we are trying to let people know is that no, the jobs are not getting replaced. You are not getting not more important, but it's that we're trying to build you more stronger. And we have to place them in a way that it comforts them. It is going to take some time, but all these small efforts will eventually lead to a routine which would be very okay for everybody to follow.
Absolutely. I think, very well said. I personally feel, that post-COVID, people have learned to manage work from home or hybrid models kind of structure. They've got used to it. And I've also seen a lot of interesting things, happen during online sessions during COVID. People doing team building exercises, the people doing yoga, meditation, Zumba classes online. So it's just that, probably before that, we never thought about it because that was not required. But post COVID, I think, people have started mentally preparing themselves that this kind of situations can also arise, and you need to prepare yourself for that. But like you rightly said, it's very important to maintain a perfect balance between offline and online, because it's critical that, looking at the situation, you have to make a balance where you require things to be done physically and where offline can be managed. There are certain sectors which can work 24/7 on a work from home space. IT is one of them where, a lot of IT companies have still not got back to work, say they're still working from home. But there are service industries, where these people are supposed to be getting back to work. And I think maintaining a perfect balance there is what is required. So great. Yeah. Anjali, you're on mute. Anjali, you're on mute.
And yeah, so and definitely when this job rotation happens, people would move into all roles, and some point or the other, they might be in a flexible kind of environment, and at times they might just go into a completely online kind of mode. So this rotation of job is again being very crucial because that will take them through all stages of a work that they're doing. And probably some part of that would probably have the machines supporting them, and that's how you train them with their own comfort. So just moving them in their places at times.
That's the balance that needs to be maintained. Thank you so much for taking it up. My next question goes to Soumya Sharma. What are the most common work safety issues in your field, and what are the key challenges one faces in keeping workers safe? Common work safety issues which you have come across in your sectors or in your company itself or in your client side as well, and what are the key challenges one faces in keeping workers safe?
Basically, I'm from the electrical field, and there are a lot of common safety issues which are
I
to
think
be
major
seen. In the electrical industries, worker safety is a major concern due to high risk nature of the work. It's because due to mainly electrical systems, tools, equipments, and the work environment. So to make it understand better, I'll divide it into three parts. The main reason, which is the issue, the cause, the risk, and the prevention. So if I talk about the first issue, which is very common in the electrical field, are the electrical shocks. The cause for this issue is the contact with live wires, equipments, and faulty wiring. And the risk factor, it can lead to very serious injuries, including burns, reverse damage, or even cardiac arrest. So the prevention to this electrical shocks can be, we can wear the proper appropriate PP insulated kits, gloves, we can use the rubber mats. And before working on any electrical thing, we must have a check that is the supply is there or not. Second, if we talk about are the arc flashes or shoots. So the arc flash is just like the what we say in Hindi is chingari, and the cause for this is a sudden release in the electrical energy through the air. So this leads to severe burns, blindness, hearing loss, or even fatal injuries. So the prevention for this is wear arc-related clothes, wear proper PPE kits. Everyone should must have a face shield, also have the insulated tools. So the next in this is generally we see the workers are working on the heights, they are working on high-rise plants, on ladders. So they generally, in some cases, also falls from the heights. Due to this, very serious injuries occurs. So prevention to this is we can use a very good quality of safety equipments, harnesses, ropes, etc. So a very common issue in the electrical field with the workers are the burns, which are due to thermal, chemical, or electrical. Direct exposure to any hot electrical components, sonal or short circuits or arc flash incidents leads to these burns. So prevention can also be done with the PPE kits, and we must train our workers about the proper handling of the chemicals. We must use proper tools, and we must take care of the confined spaces that we are being providing to our workers. Like if a worker is working in a particular area and the space available there is not enough for him to work comfortably, we must think about him that he is also a human being, he is also working there, he is also a part of our organization. So we must take care of that also. Like if there is a space issue, we must hire a proper agency who is addicted to work in that area. Lack of proper lockout due to which the electrical shock occurs. We must also explain to our workers about the exposure to hazardous materials. Handling or exposure to hazardous materials such as lead or batteries can be very harmful and dangerous. So this can be risky for the respiratory problems or chemical burns. So the prevention for this can be done by the PPE kits, which are specially made for the chemical exposures. We can use the mask also. We can use gloves. We can use protective suits. And we must also organize trainings and awareness time to time. And we also should take care of the housekeeping staff, because housekeeping staff is only related to housekeeping and they don't know exactly much about it. So, adding to that, I like to add the key challenges that one faces or an organization faces to keep the workers safe. So, the workers are so our organization is adding workers on a regular basis or on monthly basis. So due to which the comprehensive safety training can't be done every month due to cost issues. So this is a very major challenge for an industry to provide training to every staff. Risk-taking behavior is also an issue. Insufficient personal protective gear is a very high risk issue. Like if a company wants to provide the PPE kit, for example, helmets, safety shoes, and other equipments to every employee, it's the additional cost or additional expense for any industry. So the MSMEs or the small scale industries prefer very low. But if we talk about the large plants like the BKT tires or the major industries like Kajaria Tiles, they have a proper system of the guards which are to be used. If you are a visitor also, you have to wear the helmet and the safety shoes. So we must take care of the fatigue and mental stress also. So issues faces are can be also due to human error. Human error play a very crucial roles. Despite trainings and protocols, human error will always be a factor in every industries. Worker may make mistakes under pressure, which may lead to very high accidents. So the solution to the human error, according to me, is reduce the likelihood of errors through continuous training. We must have a clear communication path between our workers and the management. And the design work system should be the best with minimized opportunity for mistakes. And we must be prepared for the emergencies. We must have the ambulances and a medical staff available in the industry. We must take care of the changing work environments and technology also. And cultural and behavioral barriers also plays a very important role in every organization. So the last point I want to cover is the contractor and subcontractor safety. Contractors and
Yeah, very important.
subcontractors which supply the staff and labor to every industry don't know basically the standards, or they leads to inconsistencies of safety practices on site. Solution for this can be ensure all contractors and subcontractors to be fully briefed by the rules and safety policies and procedures of the organization. This must also includes the safety requirement in contracts and conduct safety orientation for all external workers that are changed every time. According to me, Sonal, by recognizing and addressing these challenges, organization can create a safer working environment and reduce accidents and improve the overall working experience of a well-being. Building a safety culture also requires consistent efforts from everyone, including the leadership, the contractors, the middlemen, even the workers, and the communication should also be a good, and investment plays all the important role in all levels of organization.
Very well covered, Soumya. I think, I agree with all the challenges that you're talking about. One is the cost issue. Large and the mid sectors can afford it, but when it comes to MSME, sorry, when they are restricted on the budget, so it becomes very critical for them to get the best quality there. And then the human error, like you mentioned, plays a very important role where, there could be some errors which can happen by mistake and can create a huge impact. Third is the contract and the subcontractor issues. These guys are somebody who are outside your organization. You don't have much of control on them as to what are the steps that these guys are taking. Briefing them and telling them to take care of safety issues is very, very important. The agreements or the contractual agreements you do with them is very critical to have some penalty clauses included in that. And because, without that, these guys may not be taking it very seriously. So I think very well covered all the discussions that we have done. There are a couple of questions which have bounced in. I would take it up one by one. Whoever wants to answer can probably take it up. So Michael has a question here. Do you know the Industry 5.0 started December 2015 with the article Industry from Virtual? I did not get this question very clear. Do you know that Industry 5.0 started on December 1, 2015 with Article 5.0 from virtual to physical? I'm not clear about that question.
That's not a question, as an education.
Virtual to physical. Okay. So what is it? What is the role of AI and robots in Industry 5.0? Sir, will you like to take this up?
I think we have covered this already. Cobots are something which is very common now in Industry 5.2, which is collaborative robo, which is different from the original robo we had. This works with, you can calibrate the robo settings and arm, all these things through voice command, audio, gestures. And the decision making can also be integrated with your whatever data analytics is happening. So the AI and robotics are integrated, and it is in collaboration with human intervention. So human commands are central to it.
Great. So I think that's been answered.
I can answer one more question, which is like
three principles of Industry 5.0.
Yeah, I think the first one is, of course, human centric approach. Like that is something we have been discussing throughout. Second is again our topic, sustainability is a key thing there. And the third thing is called resilience, which is basically if something changes, how you can quickly adapt to the new scenario, or the agility to.
Very important.
So those are
the resilience plays a major role here.
Yeah, so human-centric, sustainable, and resilient. These are three major principles of Industry 5.0.
Great. I think this one Anjali would be happy to take up. What should be the role of Industry 5.0 in education? Since
So education would play a very crucial role because, one is that as as a company, as industry, we know what's happening about our work. But a lot of knowledge in terms of comes in from the researchers and from these education institutions. So a lot of collaborations is one thing that you would see, wherein the tie-ups of the companies, the industry would be doing it with these institutes which are into research, which are into trainings. They will become a very key focus area because they would help us to basically this transition that's happening, they would make it really smoother. So education institutions would come big time into the picture with this Industry 5.0.
Great. I think that will be a very positive sign because if the education systems can improve, so that would automatically improve the hiring perspective and the new generations which are going and joining for the first time. If this can be taken care, that will be a very positive impact on the sectors. The last one, whoever wants to take it up, how protection of workers changed from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0? Suvra sir, Kunj, anybody?
Yeah, I can add here. We already mentioned some of that. Like in toxic, like in a mining situation, for example, where you got methane as a gas. Okay. So earlier we used to send canary birds, and then the bird survived. That means there was no methane. The bird died, so the workers would go after that. I mean, it was still recent as like in 2000s till 2000. That was a process in mines. Okay, after that we came up with some sort of all analyzers, gas analyzers, and their inputs being available in the control panel. Now it's all about you don't even have to send humans for such in those hazardous areas. Okay, you send robots there to do the drilling there. So that is one example of how it has changed from Industry 4.0. In Industry 4.0, you would get all the information and all that, and you take effective measures to go and do the drilling. Here, you don't even have to do that. You can give, send robotic arms and operate it out of just like Iron Man does it in the movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. I think, very, very interesting discussions we've had. Any further questions from anyone here right now? Devesh, any further questions anywhere?
No, ma'am, we have sorted all the questions.
Okay, so I think in a very interesting discussion, which I would just like to conclude, that Industry 5.0, although has been in news and has been in discussion from last few years, and a lot of work has been done. But I think a lot of still work has to be done in all the sectors to make technology and human interact and bring a development in the overall growth of the economy. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in for this session. We really appreciate taking our time, and I'm sure, it was very interesting for the audience also to get some feedback from the experts in the sector. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you, Sonal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.